Hello my book beauties, Carrie here, and today I'm going to be doing the Folklore Book Tag. This book tag I was really excited about. I was tagged by Rise Reading Corner. I'm going to leave her link in the description below. This tag was originally made by the Enchanted Reader. I will also be leaving the original creators tag video down in the description below also. Thank you so much, Rise, for tagging me in this. I'm very excited to do this. So Taylor Swift recently came out with an album, called Folklore. And I don't know if you guys know that or not. I'm not sure. If you don't know, I'm not really sure where you've been. But Taylor Swift wrote a whole album while she was in quarantine. And it's very folky and very just heartfelt. And the lyrics are just so beautiful. So this book tag was created and I'm so excited because we have a question for each one of the 16 songs that are on this. And I'm really excited. So let's go ahead and get into this book tag for Folklore. I'm very excited. So question number 1 is having to do with the song The One, and it's a couple that you don't agree with. I thought about it and this couple just, it irks me. So it's actually Renesmee and Jacob from Twilight. What is more awkward than having, especially for Bella, having the guy that you were kind of interested in imprint on your fetus? There are so many things wrong with that. Okay. Pedophilia is one of the things. He's kind of a wolf, and so there's kind of some bestiality in there too. The overall moral thing, oh, I'm not going to be doing anything with her until she's of age. I'm just here to protect her. That's great and all. Appreciate the protection, but she's a kid, and you're practically a full-grown man. Oh, there's just so many problems with that relationship. I don't care, that you're not going to do anything with her, until, she gets older. Yeah, I get it's a whole imprinting thing. But, oh, man, is that wrong? On so many levels. It just, no. No, just no, okay? No. That's the response. The next question has to do with the song Cardigan, a book that you loved, but the ending disappointed you. So, I actually picked After the Flood by Cassandra Montag. This was a really fun, interesting book. It kind of had a Waterworld type vibe to it. Overall, I really did enjoy it, but it just felt a little bit anticlimactic at the end. And the journey itself was beautiful, and it was about a mother trying to find her daughter. And it was them trying to find a place to kind of have a civilization when the world is practically flooded. Overall the book was really good. I really enjoyed the premise. I liked the Waterworld vibes. I liked her as a character. I liked how how earnestly she was trying to find her daughter. I liked her love interest. There's a couple love interests, but there was one in particular that I really loved. But we got to the end and it was kind of kind of very anticlimactic for me. It was fitting overall, I guess, but it just didn't have the same kind of heart I felt the rest of the book had. I just felt it kind of went downhill at the end. The next question has to do with the song The Last Great American Dynasty, a villain you can't help but love. For this, I actually picked Eli from Vicious. He is kind of considered, he is the bad guy in that, even though he outwardly seems like the hero because he's got that winning smile, he's good with people, he gets the girl. He just seems like he has everything going for him. But given as being as likable as he is, he has his problems. He's just kind of all against these people that have extra abilities and everything, which is what him and Victor have, because Victor is kind of his arch nemesis, which was at one point his best friend, and they were both going to medical school. I just can't help but love this character because he complements Eli so perfectly, in the scheme of hero versus villain. And I love him so much. You can't help but appreciate him because without Eli it would be no Victor in Vicious. So I kind of feel he's a necessary person, and I love Victor. I love Victor. So I just feel he's so necessary in the greater scheme of things, to the entire plot line, and you just can't help but love his presence in the book. Exile, your favorite dark, hard-hitting contemporary. So I went off a book that I read very recently. It was actually My Dark Vanessa, and it was a really tough read. I don't think it's for everybody. I don't actually recommend it for everybody either because it deals with grooming and like it kind of like has a Lolita style storyline, but I felt like it was just so, it captured like abuse and grooming and having to live with long-term abuse and having to have issues like with long-term abuse. And like, you know, so like sometimes like when you have something like it's really hard hitting like that, and it's really hard to grow out of it without completely losing yourself and your identity. And so I loved the messages like in this, and it like it's one of my more recent like favorites, like as far as hard hitting contemporaries go, because I feel like it checked like all of the boxes. Like I feel like it hit every single thing like that was important to the storyline, like and everything else like that was going on like with Vanessa. And it's definitely not for everybody. It can be very triggering because it's just so hard hitting, but I do feel like that it's actually a very important story like to be told, because you know, like grooming is kind of like a less noticeable thing like that people sometimes do like to get somebody like on their side. And you know, I loved it so much. And it's just, I mean, it was a very uncomfortable subject, but it was so well written and so perfectly displayed that I can't help but love this book. The next question is My Tears Ricochet, a character death that destroyed you. Okay, so we can't really discuss this without having spoilers. So it does have to do with Mistborn. You guys might, if you have not read Mistborn and you don't want to be spoiled for the first book, make sure you scroll ahead till this image is no longer visible. Okay? So yeah, just scroll like a little ways ahead. But if you see like this image, it means I'm still talking about it. So, spoiler alert, big time. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about it right now. So if you don't want to, make sure you scroll ahead. So the character death like that really just destroyed me at the end of Mistborn was Kelsier. I loved Kelsier. And I understand like why he died in the book. He had to be a martyr for like the cause, everything that was going on. But I mean, I cried a little, and I'm not much of a crier. So the fact that I cried at all for a character, it says a lot. I was so upset. Like, why did he have to die? Like, oh, okay, I just answered that. I know why he had to die, but like, why did he have to die? He was such a great character, and I loved him, and like, he just had so much value for like everything that went on. But like, I know like without his death, like that Vin would not have gone on to become like the badass probably. Well, she probably would have, but like, she wouldn't have been able like to, you know, do it on her own. She would have had Kelsier kind of like there holding her hand. But man, like I still think about that death like all the time, and I'm like, why, Brandon Sanderson, did you do this to me? Like, why? Not okay. Oh man, I was not okay after that. It's like why I said, you know, scroll ahead, because like I can't talk about deaths, character deaths, without going into spoilers, and I'm not trying to spoil like that book for anybody, because I think everybody should read Mistborn. So the next question has to do with the song Mirrorball, a character that goes under major character development. And the first character that came to mind on this was Giselle Dan Luther from the First Law trilogy. Like, I at the beginning kind of like, he was kind of like this rich kid, and he didn't like really have like any life experience. Not a very likable character. Like, I didn't really like him at the beginning. But there was so much substantial character growth throughout the trilogy that by the time the books were over with, I actually really liked him. And I thought like he had a lot of value to him, and he ended up being like a favorite character, one of my favorite characters in that series. Actually, I liked all the characters, but as far as like character growth goes, I feel like he had the most noticeable growth from the beginning to end of pretty much any character that I've ever read. And I loved his character development, like, and I ended up he was just so perfect by the time book 3 came about. So I just loved it. The next question has to do with the song 7, your favorite childhood book. So I read like I read a little bit like when I was a kid, but nothing like that I really remember. And I kind of took a break from reading like when I was in middle school, because like that's like when a lot of things like were happening for me like emotionally, like, and I just wasn't in a good headspace to read for like the 3 years that I was in middle school. And then by the time I got to high school, I started reading again. So I'm actually going to be going off the books like that I remember from high school, because like those for me like were most notable. For me, it was The Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice, Interview with a Vampire, Queen of the Damned, Vampire Lestat, and then you also have like Memnoch the Devil and Tale of the Body Snatcher and Blood Canticle and like all these books. Like there was so many books like in the series, and those were actually like my favorite series like growing up because I loved vampires, and that's actually like where a lot of my love for vampires kind of stems, is from the Vampire Chronicles. Like me and a couple other girls that I went to high school with actually like read those books, and like they read them and reread them and reread them. But by the time I got to it, like I just read them and I absorbed everything and I just loved it. And actually like those books get like better and better as they go on. I have to say like a couple of my favorite books like in that series is Memnoch the Devil and The Tale of the Body Snatcher. And then also Blood Canticle. I think those are like my 3 favorite ones in that entire series, but you can't read those books without reading the earlier ones, which are the ones that are hard to get through. So yes, I absolutely love Anne Rice's Vampire Chronicles, and I highly recommend the series because I just think it's so awesome. Now, she is highly detailed. You do have to have a lot of patience for her, so I'd maybe pick up the audiobook, but oh, I love that series. All right, so the next question is August, your favorite summertime read? Contemporaries. I really like reading contemporaries during the summer. I like reading hard-hitting contemporaries, romance contemporaries. Pretty much anything that's contemporary will pretty much hit this for me because, I mean, it's like, you know, like the time like to relax and stuff. And I feel like fantasies and stuff like that are good anytime, but like I feel like they're better during the winter months, like when it's dark and, you know, like you need some magic during Christmas and stuff like that. So contemporaries. So the next song is This Is Me Trying, a book that always pulls you out of a slump. I have a hard time like rereading books quite a bit, but the ones like that have a lot of sentimental value for me, the ones that I seem to be able to go back to anytime, is the Harry Potter books. Disclaimer, I do not like JK Rowling. I do not like anything that she's done. I do not support her in any way anymore. She is a transphobic. I'm just going to say that now. If you guys don't know what's going on, look it up. But I do not agree with anything that she's done. Nothing like that. But the Harry Potters do have a lot of sentimental value for me. I love rereading those books. Like, I love like the atmosphere, I love the characters. And I feel like those are books like that I can continuously always go back to and always love. The next question for the song Illicit Affairs, your guilty pleasure read. So I think the last book like that, I don't really feel a lot of guilt for the books I read, because if I feel like I'm going to be guilty, like feeling guilty about it, then I probably shouldn't be reading it. For me, I think like the closest I ever came like to having a guilty pleasure read, the last time I had a guilty pleasure read, is You by Carolyn Kepnes. And it's because it was told from the perspective of the stalker. And the stalker, being the main character, he was actually kind of a likable guy overall, which was really bad because like he does a lot of unlikable things. And I really enjoyed him overall. Given the person that he was, I liked him as much as I did. So, you know. The next song is Invisible String, your book boyfriend or girlfriend. And I had to pick Rhysand from A Court of Mist and Fury, like from the ACOTAR series by Sarah J. Maas. I read that book a couple years ago, and to this day, like, he is the one that stands out. Like, he is the one like that my brain goes to, because he's just so perfect. And like, you know, basically like a man like that allows a woman to flourish and grow and become more, and, you know, like, and just support her, you know, and want her to be strong and healthy and happy and everything else. And this is the kind of man that he represents, and that's why he's my book boyfriend, because he'd want me to be happy. The next song is Mad Woman, your favorite strong female protagonist. I picked Omat for A Wolf and the Whale, and I love that book. It actually defies like gender normality, like as far as like, you know, being like the cliche woman. Like, she wants to be like her own person. She doesn't want to get married. She wants to be a medicine man, and you can't be a medicine man if you're a female in her village because the gods will curse you. She is a strong female lead. She fights for what she wants. She is very like pronounced like in what she wants, you know, and even though she deals like with, there's a rape scene in the book, and all the other adversities like that she deals with, she still finds a way to persevere and still maintain like her whole person. She protects herself. I think that she is just such an amazing, amazing character. And if you guys have not read this book, please, please go read this book. Like, it's still one of my all-time favorite books, and you guys really need to read it. It's so good. But I love Omat in this. Like, she is just so amazing and so absolutely brilliant, and I just cannot convey my love and adoration for this character. So the next song is Epiphany, a character that has overcome a lot. So for this, I actually picked Laszlo Strange from Strange the Dreamer. When he was a kid, he was living as a monk, and being trained to be a monk, and in a church, and so like he wasn't allowed to dream, and he wasn't allowed to have stories or anything else. And then he goes like, and he visits like this monastery, like where like they do have books, and he gets lost in the books for like a couple days, and they find him, and it's just like, well, I guess we have to keep you now. And it gave them the freedom to dream, to read fairy tales, all of that stuff. And he starts to kind of like reminisce about this long forgotten land, and he dreams of going there, and nobody's heard of anything from this land in forever. What I really liked about this is like, not only did he overcome adversity, but he fought for his dream. He wasn't just a pushover. He realized like that it was now or never, and he either had to overcome the adversity, or it was like do or die kind of situation. I really loved him so much. And I feel like he had to overcome a lot because he came from like a very disadvantaged background. And you know, he kind of like made the most of it by educating himself and kind of like just like rising to the occasion. So I feel like Laszlo Strange like really captures like that perfectly. The next character is Betty, a character that deserved better. Okay, talking about Mistborn again. I'm gonna put up the image here again. You might want to fast forward past this image if you guys do not want spoilers, and this has to do with the third book in the Mistborn trilogy, The Hero of Ages. So if you guys have not read the full trilogy, you probably do not want to hear this. Especially, I recommend not hearing this because like I don't want to ruin the series for you. So just fast forward until you do not see this image on here anymore. So let's go ahead and get in the spoiler for Mistborn as far as me answering that question goes. So at the end of The Hero of Ages, Vin dies. And it's so heartbreaking. It was fitting to the overall progression of the story, but she did not deserve that, Brandon Sanderson. She did not deserve death. She fought so hard the whole time. She fought for freedom and for rights and like, you know, like for the Mistborns and like for the world. And just, you know, like she just, such a hard road for her not to even enjoy peace after everything was gone. And I am very salty about the fact that she wasn't even able to be around to see everything that happened, like for the world, that she did, all this stuff that she did for the world. And I know why, like they explain it, but like, damn man, like I'm so sad. I'm so sad. She just deserves so much better. Okay, ran over with. We're done with the spoiler section. On to the next question right now. So yeah. The next question is Peace, your favorite fictional couple, bonus points if they went through a lot together. So I actually have two couples for this. I actually picked Linus Baker and Arthur Panasius from The House on the Cerulean Sea, which is kind of an interesting thing because they didn't actually have like that much of a relationship. It was kind of like a slow burn, like from a distance sort of thing. But the absolute tension like the entire time made it one of my favorite relationships. And I do feel like they did go through quite a lot because Arthur had been through like a very traumatic childhood, and Linus, like he had, you know, kind of like, he was very, very isolated and very alone, and it's like they kind of like found each other. This is a beautiful, beautiful story, and I loved the story so much. So that was like one of the couples like that I just really, really loved, and I feel like they did go through like a lot together because like reasons in the book. But the other couple that I really like want to talk about is Ead, Durin, and Sabran. So Ead is the lady-in-waiting to Sabran, who is the queen, and this is one of my most favorite sapphic couples of all time. Like there is a trigger warning for miscarriage in this. It's very hard-hitting, but like Sabran is trying to become her own person, and Ead is just kind of like this person like that in the background, but she has to overcome a lot. Like she has to overcome her upbringing, and she has to overcome like, you know, everything just so that she can be with a woman that she loves. And I just felt like this character, like this couple, like was just so beautiful. I love the couple in this. I love like what they end up meaning to each other, like, and how hard hitting it is. I love it so much. So yeah, so this is the other couple, and yes, they did go through a lot together. Like, they struggled, they had to persevere, like, because, you know, like, Sabran being a queen, like, she was supposed to be marrying a man, and she wasn't in love with a man, she was in love with Eid. So it was just kind of like this whole thing with them, you know, trying to, you know, fight to be together. And not to mention, like, there was all these outside forces, like, that were going on. Like, they were having to battle, like, for the world and the forces of evil and everything that were kind of, like, you know, lurking just around the corner. But I love this book. So, definitely one of my favorites. As far as couples go, I love Sabran and Eid. So, the next question, the last question, is Hoax, a fictional breakup that destroyed you. Okay, so there's going to be, like, more spoilers here because I cannot... some of these questions, like, you cannot answer them without having spoilers. And I don't want to spoil anything for anybody. So if you do not want spoilers to Nevernight, then thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to like and subscribe on your way out because this is the last question just before I lose you, okay? So, on to the spoilers for Nevernight. And for that, I actually picked Mia and Trick from Nevernight. So, like, they are really, like, together, like, a lot, like, in the first book. But you don't, like, really get to see the breakup until, like, the third book. So this has to do with DarkDawn. This is the third book in the Nevernight series. And, like, overall, like, I liked Mia and Ashlyn's romance. Like, I thought it was really beautiful. But I also really liked Trick because I felt like Trick, like, always had her best interest in heart. And even though he was, like, out for revenge and everything, he was also, like, really just, you know, all about her and, like, you know, trying to elevate her and, you know, regardless of, like, whatever else he was seeking. So I just really liked him and his role in her life as a character. But, like, when we get to DarkDawn, like, you know, he basically, like, he sacrifices himself. And that was devastating because, like, right there, like, they basically, like, is them breaking up, in my opinion, because, like, I can't even form words, okay? I'm just really upset about it. But I literally love that couple because, like, I really love them together, and it's like, you know, it was like they spent so many books, like, just being like, oh, I don't love you, like, you know, like, we're just kind of fuck buddies or whatever, and then come to find out, it's like, yeah, I actually do love you. I was just, you know, too bullheaded not to see it, so, yeah. So that pretty much covers everything that I have to say for this. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys like this video, hit the little like, hit subscribe with the little bell icon if you guys want to receive emails every time I post. Also, I'm on Instagram, Amazon, Twitter, and Goodreads. Those links are linked in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys again very soon.